Hi, everyone, and a very warm welcome to this World's Greenest Hospital Live. My name is Felicia Hedetoft, and I am the Communications Coordinator for the network NCSH, Nordic Center for Sustainable Healthcare. Before we get started, let me just mention that this webinar is being recorded. So for those of you who prefer to stay anonymous, please feel free to do so. It's great to see so many of you joining us here this afternoon, at least here in Sweden, it's the afternoon. I know that we have representatives with us not only from the Nordic countries and mainland Europe, but also from Britain, Canada, the US, India, to name but a few. But for today, it really doesn't matter that we are all in different places, because at least for the next hour and a half, we will be transferring ourselves to the world's greenest hospital right in the middle of the Nordic countries. And for those of you who would like to take a shortcut into the hospital right this second, you can do so at the worldsgreenesthospital.org. Okay, so before we take the step into the hospital together, let's just briefly go back in time. Because as with many other things, Grønnköpingkið, the world's greenest hospital, was created by us at NCSH to meet a demand. NCSH is a network formed in 2015 with the goal of boosting sustainable healthcare on the global arena. Today, we are happy to have over 140 members from about 25 different countries around the globe. And to achieve this boosting goal of the network, our approach has been to put all actors into the same room, whether these be hospitals, companies, universities, clusters, regions, and so on. And even though this is a highly international arena today, as you can see on our logo map, our own starting point has been in the Nordic countries. So countries with a long tradition of strong healthcare systems, as well as ambitious environmental work. And come the pandemic, we at NCSH started to get more and more inquiries from actors all over the globe, asking us about what solutions are currently used at Nordic hospitals. And to solve this predicament, you could call it, we set out to make another layer of our logo map more visible. And this is the layer of the green solutions that are currently being supplied by many of the members in our network. And so to do this, we turn to the online world, and with that, Grønnköpingkið, the world's greenest hospital, was created. So Grønnköpingkið is a digital hospital and platform where we showcase and make accessible the greenest healthcare solutions that are currently on the market and being used at Nordic hospitals. And in total, this hospital will contain about 100 solutions, all divided into the different categories needed to create more sustainable care practices. So this means that the World's Greenest Hospital is the opposite of trying to reinvent the wheel. Instead, it's about making what is already available more accessible. You can call it a form of one-stop shop or solution bank. Here you can come to be inspired and find all the information needed to carry out the purchase for a greener healthcare facility. And green is, of course, the key word here, because what makes Grønnköpingkið the very greenest is the diversity of solutions available on the platform that together contribute to building resilience to withstand future disruptions. And this can be through everything from lowering emissions to optimizing the use of resources, or even improving the working environment. And just to mention, for those of you sitting out there now with a product or service that you believe would be fitting for the World's Greenest Hospital, do reach out to us at the NCSH, there is still room inside the hospital walls for more solutions. And if you cannot get enough of sustainable healthcare, just like we can't, we have several exciting events coming up this year. In May, on the 22nd of May, the topic will be on education and sustainable healthcare through our project This Health. So you're welcome to sign up to that, or even travel to Turin in Italy if you want to do that. On the 4th of June, we have our crash course in sustainable healthcare, completely free for all NCSH members, both old and new. On the 13th of June, we turn our gaze to sustainable kidney care. So do sign up to that to listen in. And of course, last but definitely not least, on the 15th of October, we are inviting you to the 6th Nordic Conference on Sustainable Healthcare here in Malmö, Sweden. And there will be side events going on the 14th and 16th of October as well. So my colleague will share some links in the chat to our calendar and so on. So do have a look at that to sign up to the upcoming events. And just to briefly mention, if you're specifically interested in learning more about the conference, there is a conference page on our website where you can learn more about how to get your tickets and get on board as a sponsor or exhibitor. And the places are, of course, filling up quickly, so don't wait too long to get on board. But that is enough from my side. So let's now take a step into the hospital, the world's greenest hospital. And we will get to hear about some of the solutions currently at work within the hospital walls. But before that, we will take a geographical leap to Ukraine to hear more about the practical experiences currently going on in order to create resilient and sustainable healthcare in times of crisis. And as an audience, please save and share your thoughts on green hospitals and all your questions for the speaker until the Q&A at the end. If you want to, you can write your questions in the chat while you are listening, and we will get to them at the end of the webinar. But now I leave the floor to Nataliia Korobchynska, who will join us from the healthcare department of the Vinnytsia City Council in Ukraine. Welcome, Nataliia.
Greetings to all participants of the webinar, What's Greenest Hospital? What I'm Healthcare? Lessons from Ukrainian Resilience. Dear participants, my name is Nataliia Korobchynska, and I would like to present to your attention the experience of sustainable development of Vinnytsia urban community in the field of healthcare in the conditions of military aggression against Ukraine. I am a representative of the local self-government body in the field of healthcare. I am the Deputy Director of the Healthcare Department for Strategic Planning and Development of Healthcare of the Vinnytsia City Council. Next slide, please. The Vinnytsia urban community consists of 9 settlements, the city of Vinnytsia, and 8 surrounding settlements. The territory of the community is more than 255 square kilometers. The population is about 390,000 people. Also, since the beginning of the war, more than 46,000 people from other regions of Ukraine have been relocated to our community and have remained. Next slide. The healthcare system of our community is represented by 12 city healthcare institutions, 5 hospitals, 5 primary care centers, and 2 consultative medical centers. There are also 7 regional and more than 100 private healthcare facilities of various capacities in the territory of Vinnytsia. 1,269 doctors and 1,698 nurses work in 12 city healthcare institutions. 1,375 beds have been deployed in hospitals. Next slide, please. Every year in city healthcare facilities, 1.5 million ambulatory visits are provided. 7,000 operations are performed on an ambulatory. 60,000 patients receive treatment in hospital conditions. Before the war, it was 48,000. And as you can see, today it is 60,000. 30,000 operations are performed in hospital conditions. The purpose of local self-government and communal healthcare system is to provide needs of the community population in medical services. Our strategic tasks in the conditions of military aggression are provision of medical services, patient safety, continuous medical care, increasing transparency, anti-corruption policy, community involvement, transformation and sustainable development. Next. Challenges in war conditions. Migration of population. Part of the population left Ukraine, but continue to receive medical consultations remotely from our doctors. Increased the load of the healthcare system, in particular due to the fact that more than 46,000 people have moved to Vinnytsia from other regions, as well as wounded military personnel and civilians from other regions arriving at city healthcare facilities. The load of medical workers is also increasing due to the fact that part of the medical workers of our healthcare institutions are sent and provide medical assistance in the combat zone. Limitation of financial resources. Increasing costs of treatment, medicines, consumables, increasing the load of the available equipment and apparatus. Therefore, in the conditions of war, it is extremely important to rationally use available resources, personnel, finances, capacities, medicines, equipment, and supplies. Next. Our experience shows that building sustainable healthcare in crisis conditions means effectively using all resources and directing them in the right direction. In the condition of crisis and war, digital solutions ensure stability and sustainable development of public health care. Next. Shaping sustainable development with the help of digital technologies. One of the factors that contributed to the support of medical services and the stability of the healthcare system of our community in the conditions of war is the implemented and established electronic innovations in the field of healthcare, which contribute to the organization of medical care, provide monitoring and control of the state of the healthcare system, needs of the population in medical services, and allow to rationally and efficiently direct their resources in the right direction. Electronic innovation in the field of healthcare of the Vinnytsia city community were implemented and in initiative of the City Council started in the year 2011 and are currently being supported. On the territory of the Vinnytsia urban community, digital technologies are used to ensure the exchange of medical information between community health care institutions within a single electronic medical information space. All 12 city health care institutions are united in the system of the unified electronic medical information space. 1,136 automated workplaces for access to the system work. 2,871 medical workers use the system. Automated workplaces are used with a load of 2.5 shifts. Each patient has a single electronic medical card in 12 city health care facilities. The card is replenished online when the patient applies for medical services. Currently, more than 719,000 electronic medical records of patients have been created, which contain more than 28 million medical records, documents. A patient personal cabinet has been created for patients, which provides an opportunity to make an appointment with a doctor and provides patients with access to their own electronic medical record. Access to the personal account is provided through the Vinnytsia City Council website. Next. Vinnytsia City community received, thanks to the introduction of electronic innovations in the field of healthcare and the creation of the unified electronic medical information space system, many positive results for ensuring stability and sustainable development. First, positive results for patients. Access to their own medical information and the accessibility of medical services thanks to the possibility of online registration in the electronic wire to the doctor through the patient personal office. Online medical consultation, hospitals at home are also organized. Some of the residents of our community live outside Ukraine. Our doctors continue online to consult such patients, which reduce the burden of the healthcare system of other countries. Implementation of the state program for issuing electronic prescriptions, electronic referrals, for consultations and treatment in hospital conditions in injured. Second, positive results for doctors. A single electronic medical card available in real time to medical workers who perform diagnostics and treatment, results of medical examinations, images, and available and stored in electronic format. The attending physician process medical data faster, takes into account their previous history of diseases and risks, which ultimately reduces the likelihood of errors and unnecessary examinations. Next, positive results for ensure the volume and quality of medical services. In real time and retrospectively, it is possible to evaluate the types, volumes, and quality of the provided medical services. This opportunity contributes to ensuring the necessary volume and quality of medical services and improving medical care for the population of the community. It also makes access to medical services services in healthcare institutions of our community easier for the populations of other regions. Thus, in last year, 40% of patients who were treated in our hospitals were patients from other regions of Ukraine and other countries. Next, positive results for management in the field of healthcare. Ensuring sustainability of healthcare and continuity of medical services. Thanks to electronic innovations, the process of accounting, data processing, monitoring and control systems in the field of healthcare have been improved. The community healthcare system is integrated into a single electronic medical information space, which allows for the analysis of the population needs for medical services and to ensure effective management and response to the needs for medical services. It also makes it possible to track changes in a timely manner, identify deficiencies or in the healthcare system. It contributes to effective management and rational use of resources. The electronic medical information space within the community became a significant impetus for the development of the community healthcare system and more effective use of resources by institutions providing medical services. Ensuring transparency of information and anti-corruption policy is also a positive result. Thanks to electronic innovations control the activities of community medical institutions and the quality of medical services has been established. Next slide, please. Risks of using electronic innovations. Cyber threats and cyber security. The needs of update computer equipment and software. The need for uninterrupted power supply. Strategies and prospects for future development. Development of management using the capabilities of digital technologies in order to ensure sustainable development in the field of healthcare. Introduction of new electronic services in the field of healthcare for community residents. And next slide. Our partners. Today, in the conditions of war, our partners from France, Germany, and Latvia also help our community to ensure the sustainability of healthcare and the continuity of medical services in the areas of rehabilitation, treatment of the injured, reconstructive surgery, recovery, and mental health. We are sincerely grateful to them for their help, but we will be happy to cooperate with other partners. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Nataliia, for generously sharing those insights into how you work with your practical strategies. I'm sure there's lots to learn for the global healthcare transition. I found it especially interesting to hear about your use of digital technologies to direct the resources in the right direction, and also to increase the accessibility of healthcare services also outside of Ukraine. So I'm sure that there will be plenty of questions for you on this topic at the Q&A at the end of the webinar. So thank you again, Nataliia.
Thank you for your attention.
So turning our gaze now to the accessibility of solutions in the world's greenest hospital. We are first joined by a solution in the architecture and construction category. So I would like to welcome Jörgen Stenqvist from MedicSolution to the floor, who will talk about prefabricated modular facilities for healthcare and research. Welcome, Jörgen.
Thank you, Felicia. I hope everyone hear me.
We hear you perfectly.
Excellent. Great. Okay, thank you for having me and my company here, having this opportunity to present what we are doing as part also of the platform World Greenest Hospital. So, as Felicia said, we can be found on the platform within the architecture and construction, point. So you can, after this webinar, you can go in and check us out there, go into our website, or just give me a call or send me an email. But now taking you into the modular world, that is what I try to do now within 15 minutes. So we'll start off with 2 short slides, talking a little bit about what we do, of course, who we are, but also briefly explaining what modular buildings are, off-site built buildings. So looking at us as a company, MedicSolution, we deliver prefabricated, high specified solutions for the healthcare and medical research sectors. Meaning for hospitals, for example, number of room types, such as operating theaters, sterile centers, etc., etc. And they're also delivered with media supply, such as ventilating units, could be with all medical equipment, etc., depending on the needs for each hospital or customer. So we actually we are a contractor working with off-site built constructions, built off-site, put on a truck, delivered to the hospital. So that's what we do, and we are based in Sweden. So the production is 100% Swedish. Yeah. Now looking at us, and why us, or why modular, you could say. And you have when you build a hospital, you have several options, of course, how you will design it, but you have also different options how you build it. So looking at how you build it, then you can build it on site, or you can build it off site. And when we build off site in a controlled environment, and we base our construction on a robust frame, and that frame is the basis actually for also a high prefabrication level, so we can finalize as much as possible at home in our factory. So we don't disturb the hospital on site. And we can by that also save time in the project. So if you compare on-site built to off-site built, we can save up to 50% of the timeline in the project. And that is not just on the production part, but also some of it can also be saved in the design phases. But all in all, up to 50% depending on project. And it also, the robust construction also open up for reusability. And that's why we also are here in this forum, because we can move our modules, our buildings, so they can be reused at other locations when needed. So instead of building a huge hospital that have to be there for 50 years, you could build it depending on your needs at the moment, and then expand it or decrease it depending on the situation. So that's why we say that we enable efficient use of resources over time. So I will, in a little bit, enough of my speech and talk, I will show you a short film, and I hope the technology is with me. So I will just switch to a film, if you bear. So the film I will show you is just, it's better than my words. It explains what we do, a little bit also open up for your thoughts, what can be done. It's a good 3-minute film. So I will start it now, and the volume or it's only music in the background, so you don't miss anything. Unfortunately, the music is not heard. Hope it's fine. So I will go back to my presentation. Let's see. Anyone, can you see my screen again? I hope so.
Yes, it looks good, Jörgen.
Yeah, thanks. You never know. And I assume you received the presentation afterwards, don't you, Felicia?
Yes, we will send it out after
Yeah.
the webinar.
Yeah. So what you saw in the film was some of what I said earlier about the reusability of the facilities. So what we do is we produce in a safe indoor environment, and the benefit by doing that is, of course, we're not really depending on the weather. weather conditions. We have the logistics in place. Since it's a factory, when you build on site, you always have to establish the production for every building site. Since you have a factory already in place, the processes and the logistics are optimized, which is a benefit, especially when you talk about time and also, yeah, quality in a way. So we build them. We build the facility as it is on site. We build it in the factory off site, place it on a truck. When it's done, we separate the modules, we place them on a truck, and we deliver them to the hospital. And if it's within, for example, within Sweden, or if it's possible to take them by truck all the way, of course, we do that. But otherwise, you could place them on a boat, for example. So if you want to, for example, deliver something to the UK, which needs a boat transport, most probably, then it's possible. So once on site, we place the modules. We set the modules where they should be on a foundation that is already prepared beforehand. And that is roughly something that is taking a few days, and you don't disturb the hospital, the ongoing operations more than that time, more or less. Then we take away the crane, and we work inside the modules. So once the building is finalized, and that is, of course, depending on the size, how long it will take. But as soon as we hand over the key, because we always say that it's a turnkey solution, you will be able to operate. And it of course it can be just put next to a hospital, or it could be a greenfield project out as located on a field next to something. And also to help out and help the discussions with the customers, the clients, and also to be a little bit quicker and more precise, we have some concepts, and this is something where we normally start the discussion from. So we have operating theaters in different sizes. Of course, we can make them if someone wants a hybrid theater, for example, on 90 square meters or something, then we will do it. But if you stick to these concepts, we are able also in some projects to provide rental solutions. So we have operating theaters, diagnostic units, with X-ray equipment in. We also have a collaboration with a Danish company called Semistål, working with automated bed and mattress cleaning equipment. And we also work with Getinge for sterile centers, for example. And if you look at the references and what we have done, you could say that what we're aiming for and our trademark is that, and that was also mentioned in the film, is that these facilities, even though they are based on modular construction, they have the same end result, the same feeling as a normal building. If you build it on site, there's no difference. Actually, in some way, it could be even better, because we have completely different tolerances in the production and able to do things really precise. So, and we use this platform as well. We have a speaker coming after me here from Maria from Ecophon. It's a company that we use as a supplier to us, working with ceiling solutions for acoustics. So yeah, all in all, you could say we provide buildings. We are a contractor actually working with modular construction, offsite produced, and we also enable efficient use of resources over time. And also interesting now, and I was really listening to the Ukrainian presentation before me. Since we in an event of crisis, this could really be interesting. And this is something that we are working with a lot as well. So being able to fulfill the needs where they are needed, when they are needed, that is something that we think will be really interesting to follow and try to help out with the coming years, unfortunately. But really interesting. And what I want to mention here as well, I said that we are able to provide rental solutions, and at the moment we have 6 operating theaters in mid Sweden, Hudiksvall, and they come out to the market in August this year. So they are available for really, really quick delivery if someone needs them. So in that case, just contact me. In the next slide, you have my contact information. And yeah, as I said, just give me a call, send me an email. Otherwise, check out our website or contact NCSH in case you don't find us, even though. So thank you a lot. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to present this to you. And yeah, I hand over the presentation to Felicia again. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Jörgen. Great to see accessibility being such a clear theme in today's webinar, with the movability of your facilities, as you mentioned yourself, based on the needs in a certain situation, whether in a crisis situation or not. This is definitely something for the near and long future. So thank you for that, Jörgen. Okay, so moving on now to our second category for the day. It's called Waste Solutions on the World's Greenest Hospital platform. And for that, we will hear from Anna Herslow Lind from Paxxo, who will talk about the world's strongest, most efficient, and environmentally friendly waste bag. So welcome to the floor, Anna.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Felicia. I wonder if you can see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Thank you, Felicia, and also thank you, Nataliia and Jörgen, for sharing both resilience and highly important innovation. This is why it's so great to always join help me, NCHS. There's a lot of important things going on. I am here to talk about a much simpler. We are a Malmö-based company in Sweden, and we are shifting from being a very small business to a medium-sized company. So today we are turning over 17 million euros. We are 55 employees along with the entire production. So we're growing, and the reason being is that the Longopack is a unique bag system, which is a very good replacement for the traditional waste bag, which is a very interesting, and I will show you in a few slides ahead what it does to the plastic consumption. Our aim is to create a better working environment and lower environmental impact. So here you go. Here's an image of all our different colors in one of the sizes of our product. What it is an endless liner, basically. So instead of using bags which you don't fill up 100%, you basically use the bag and you clip it, so you use 100% of the plastic. Further, there is so we end up with 100% filling degrees, which helps us lower CO2 emission by 80%. Another factor of us lowering the CO2 emission is that the plastic is very thin. So it's a polythene, a 3-layered polythene, which makes it very, very strong. And with it comes also the advantages of, well, we just come out of a pandemic and we don't want to get infected. And so it's very efficient not getting in contact with the waste, using waste liners, basically. We know that plastic is a huge problem, and we know within healthcare that it's about, we represent about 45% of the global carbon footprint of the entire world. We also know that healthcare generates millions of tons of waste every year. And actually, I have done some plastic mapping later on, you will have a look at it. But only by switching plastic, you can save several tons, 1,000 tons of both plastic and carbon dioxide. So if we move on, I will show you here. This is an example from a region in Sweden, from one of the bigger regions in Sweden, actually. And it's very difficult working with plastic mapping, as those of you who have tried it know, because we have to compare different kinds of plastic. And we have PP, we have PA, polyamide and polyethylene, and it's very, very difficult. However, if we count roughly in weight of plastic items, we can come to the conclusion that measured in plastic, waste bags actually is the number one representative of plastic in a hospital. And then on number two are the gloves, the single-use gloves, and then you have the risk containers, the yellow risk containers, and you have the aprons and etc. You go down, you follow the curve. But however, if you switch and measure it in carbon dioxide, you will have the gloves as the number one source of footprint, and waste bags only number two. Of course, this is taking everything into account of what kind of plastic and how it's produced and the entire LCA of the process. But it's interesting to see how big, actually, something we don't generally think of. Waste bags are kind of invisible. You don't think of them very often until you use them in a hospital, until you have to throw them when they're not full, and until they crack. Then you start becoming aware of how important it is to have not only efficient waste bag, but also, well, a sustainable system. So this is what we're looking at. This is a perfect example of what we call the traditional waste bag, which is a very generalistic name to use, because today waste bags are made of recycled materials. Everyone is making an effort to making the situation better. However, in a hospital, you very rarely fill it, because you have maybe one treatment, or you can have odor in your waste, you can have contaminated waste, etc. So normally you fill maximum to a 30% filling degree, and this is a maximum. Very often you can have just a few things in your waste bag and you throw it. And imagine all of that excess plastic. Further, this is a thicker plastic, because thicker plastic is supposedly stronger, which is not necessarily the truth. So this is the situation many hospitals have. Much too big bags for much too little waste. So the Longpack endless liner is a system where, as you saw in the picture before, you use clips and you cut out the bag just as big as you need it to be. And with that, you never use plastic as an excess. You just use it for wrapping the waste and containing the waste, and then you take it to the next step and send it to, hopefully, incineration. As you can see also, you can see that the liner is round on the edges, in the beginning, so to speak. And that means that if you have spill, or if you have gooey, messy, smelly waste, when you pull the liner down, you will not come in contact with the waste. So it's very hygienic, which comes, as I would say, you know, a very important factor as well of using this liner. Yes, and then just touching by the life cycle assessment and how we calculate this, we have had a huge help of TEM to take out the numbers and taking everything into account. In the comparison, Longopack was compared to what we call traditional waste bags. You see the sizes here, you see what they were made of. Normally polythene, normal polythene, or fossil polythene, or recycled polythene, biodegradable, and you will understand a bit more of this as we go ahead. And there is it's complicated within the easiness of waste bags. It is that bio-based plastic is not necessarily biodegradable, which means that if you, for example, produce plastic from sugarcane, it doesn't have to be biodegradable. It's actually non-biodegradable. However, some of the fossil polymers are still biodegradable. So it's a contradiction, and it's, you know, it's facts that it's good to just have heard of or know, especially when you make the choice of plastic. So sometimes they look greener than they actually are, because you think, oh, they're made of castor oil or sugarcane, that must be better to use. But it's not necessarily the case, because in the incineration, it becomes carbon dioxide just as well. So this is how different ways of measuring. Now, if we look at the entire LCA of how we measure the Longopack and compare it to the traditional waste bag, you obviously have much less raw material because the plastic is thinner and you use much less plastic. And then you can also see here, even a waste bag, if you look to let's see here, the 7th pillar, and there is a lot of red, which means that it's recycled raw material, which seems to be very good. But then still, you see how much raw material is needed and how much incineration it takes to burn the same material. So sometimes it's, well, the equation doesn't end up as you think it will. It sounds good, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that good as it sounds, as good as it sounds. Now, even though we have good and thin plastic, we need it to be strong, especially in healthcare. We can have a messy operation and we can have, well, bio waste. And we want to make sure that once we put it in our waste bag, it holds and it contains the waste all the way through. And so our way of measuring this is through a dart drop, which means it's like a metal weight and you drop it and you see how the plastic holds the metal weight. And so since we put the plastic layers in 3, you have the same, you have 1, 2, 1. So you have the same layers around the middle layer. It doesn't crack. So for example, if you take a garbage bag and you poke it and it breaks, it often cracks, which is very, very unpractical in a hospital because of the nature of the waste. You want to avoid that. And then we have the sustainability in the production. Of course, we recover the system for heat, and we have we reuse our spillage, so to speak. We have local sourcing and 100% fossil-free energy to make the entire LCA as tight as possible around the plastic itself, so the production of the plastic itself. So that is a lot of information about the endless liner Longopack and how much you can save actually in a region over an entire tender period. Now, out of all the waste in healthcare, only about 85 or as much as 85 is normal waste, but you still have 15% of hazardous and toxic waste, which is even more important to be careful about. And this is something that we also take very seriously. And of course, if we can manage to seal the waste, the toxic waste for the working environment, we also save the air and the seas, of course. So what you see here, it might be difficult to see, but between the the masks and the gloves, there is a seam because it's a welding machine, so it welds the plastic. It is also a continuous liner welding the plastic, and in the world's greenest hospital, it's very important, of course, to keep the working environment 100% free of toxins. Mainly we use the Paxxo, and it's used in Europe and in Sweden in oncology, but also, of course, in intensive care. We're starting to understand how much antibiotics influence the healthcare caregivers and contaminate the environment. So before then collecting it in the risk waste containers and sending it to incineration, it's very good to hermetically seal the bags. You have a lot of risk of exposure when you work with anything which is toxic, not only in the preparation, also in administration. Even though you use a closed system, you have all the body fluids, you have well, the cleaning and the clothing you use, etc. As you can see in the world of closed systems, the closed system disposal device, Paxxo, is only one slice of the cake, where you have the preparation, the transportation, and the administration as well. The conclusion with working with waste management, and waste packaging is that function must precede sustainability. Otherwise, it won't be used. If it becomes too difficult, they simply don't use it. So we need to inform, we need to have trainings, etc., of how to use them, and it has to be functionally easy. Yes, and the degree of recycled choice of material is of importance. However, as you saw before, the amount of plastic is key. It's very hard to avoid plastic. We have tried working without containing waste. It doesn't work. To keep it clean, to keep it safe. However, we can diminish the plastic substantially. Of course, both the production and the transportation has an effect. We've spoken about the biodegradable and bio-based. How it works and co-works doesn't necessarily mean the equation goes the way we think it will. Other than focusing a lot on occupational safety, we need to think of how it affects the environment after it's been in the hospital, as used in the different departments and wards. We are very passionate about both working with hospitals saving CO2, but also about safer handling of toxic hazardous waste. There is a lot of good information, and you can either contact me directly if you're interested, or you can go to our website and see if there's anything in particular you're interested in. Thank you so much for your attention and for listening. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Thank you kindly, Anna, for that presentation. Very inspiring to hear about how your solution, as you just mentioned now in the conclusion, not only speaks to the sustainability challenges of plastics, but also to the lessons from the pandemic when it comes to ensuring hygiene in waste handling. So yeah. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And please remember, as an audience, if you're listening and any questions pop into your head, do write these down in the chat for the Q&A at the end. So now back to the category of architecture and construction, where we will hear about a solution mentioned by Jörgen in his presentation earlier. So welcome to the floor, Maria Quinn from Ecophon, who will talk about sound absorbing ceilings and wall panels. Welcome, Maria. Okay, so while we are waiting to hear from Maria again, as I just mentioned, we have another guest with us here today from Ukraine. It is Skowronski from Mission Kharkiv, who will give us some words about implementing green healthcare in Ukraine. So welcome, Ross.
Hi, everyone. Hi, I'm Ross, the founder of Mission Kharkiv. I'm currently in Kharkiv as well. I'm representing a humanitarian organization called Mission Kharkiv. We mostly run health-related projects. So Mission Kharkiv started in early days during the full-scale invasion, and we dedicated all our forces to providing expertise in pharmaceutical support. Right now, that conducted to the following metrics that you see on the screen, but basically our main project, main activity is providing a complex and comprehensive care for oncology patients amid the conflict. So we provided, we're the first NGO in the world to provide chemotherapy for patients in the cities under siege. We have experience, by the way, our project was recognized by the European Society for Medical Oncology. We have experience also with constructing cold chain facilities. In this particular facility is a missile-proof bunker 3 meters below the ground, where we store all our cold chain medication. It's completely secured. And right now we are moving to develop and further support to oncology patients during conflict, not only medication, but as well helping with evacuation logistics, providing mental health support, providing trainings for oncologists. Let me share. So basically here you see the workflow that we do for our patients. We are completely transparent for our donors of medications. We're first to introduce this full transparency system where the donor sees per invoice which pack of which medication, with which serial number went to which patient, with which diagnosis, with which stage of disease progressing. Obviously, all the sensitive private patient data is codified and afterwards presented to the donor. So right now we also have we are also providing power plants and other critical infrastructure in Ukraine with necessary first aid kits, given the context of war and what is the main cause of mortality on these facilities. So we provide both training for how to use the kit and the kit itself. We have a memorandum with the Ministry of Energy, and we already covered all the infrastructure in Kharkiv region, and right now we start in operation nationwide. So before I talk for the initiative that we have with the Nordic Center for Sustainable Healthcare, you have my contacts on the screen here, and let me just stop the sharing, and I'll explain you more. Here we go. So as being an NGO working on the ground very closely with the health facilities and with big international NGOs that are involved in reconstruction and recovery engineering of health facilities, we noticed some particularity of the work of these big NGOs, that they're pretty used to working in environments with almost complete absence of the market. But here in Ukraine, there are regulations. There are also this plan for Ukrainian healthcare system to align more with European standards as Ukraine fights for its way to the European Union. So what we did, for example, for Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors of the World, this is MSF, is to provide, to gather a group of engineers and assist with technical specification documents and making sure that everything is standardized. It's one of the particularities as well of Ukraine. We're moving towards European Union, but there's still lack of standardization. So jointly with the Nordic Center of Sustainable Healthcare, we are gathering a group of engineers. We're gathering necessary instruments and tools to implement on larger scale right now. So basically, it's to review the technical specification documentation, issue the bills of quantity, process with recommendation criteria for the tenders of the construction companies here in Ukraine, and after the monitoring process, in order to make sure quality assurance is met and the health facilities are constructed by the European standards, or as close as it can be, given the context where the facility is located. So we believe this project will kick off late October or November this year. And I'm happy to work with UNCSCH, and thanks for having me here, and give the opportunity to present Mission Kharkiv.
Thank you very much for that, Ross. We look forward to the project as well from our side. And of course, if any of you in the audience are interested in learning more about the project and how you can support Mission Kharkiv in Ukraine, do either reach out to us or to Mission Kharkiv and Ross directly. So thank you, Ross. Okay, Maria from Ecophon, do you want to give it another try?
I will speak a bit quicker now to catch up this time. Just to do a recap here is that the tiles that we are producing is from 70% recycled glass, and that we are taking care of the offcuts that also happen on the project site. When it comes to EPDs, I mentioned them briefly, that we're aiming to get 100% EPDs on our products. Today we have 86%. And it's very important that they are product specific, so that you don't get EPDs for a family of tiles, because they can differ very much depending on the surface. At Ecophon, you can also download any of these EPD certificates to fit your BIM system, or certificates that you need for LEED or BREEAM or whatever for free. We're very transparent with this. And we're also very happy to have gotten Cradle to Cradle bronze in version 4.0. So that was a bit about the product sustainability. I would like to talk to you about social sustainability as well, because this is mainly with it is to create hospitals that has a well-functioning and supporting workplace for the staff who's going to be there for many years, but also, of course, have good healing place for the patient. And as you can see in this picture, it can be very messy in an intensive care unit. This is an actual intensive care unit in the south of Sweden with a real patient in the bed. And I would like to also then let you know that I'm a nurse. I still have my license, so I can come this close to the patient. And this nurse has agreed to be on the picture. This patient was very ill and was in use of all of these medtech devices during that person's stay. And we can all imagine when looking at this picture what it sounds like. And unfortunately, this was an old hospital where they took no consideration of the acoustics in the room when it was built. And they tried to fix it a little bit afterward by gluing tiles on the walls. Maybe you can see it at the furthest away wall. There's 2 squares of the absorbers. Of course, that is not enough. We need to work with the acoustics in the early phases and make sure that we have a good solution just coming afterwards. When it comes to sound and acoustics, I've encountered very many project leaders, architects, and so forth over my 12 years doing this. And I often meet this sort of pushback that, oh, I don't want to talk about the acoustics. We have an acoustician in our team, and he or she will fix that. And I would really like us to move away from this being a mathematical, theoretical thing on a paper that someone is only about to calculate, because of course we have to do that when we have regulations and standards, which I appreciate that we have, but we also need to take a little bit of ownership when it comes to creating a sound environment in the hospitals, because the sound has such a huge impact on every person in there, on your physical response as well as your emotional response. We all know what happens if we're in a bad sound environment. It's difficult to hear what people are saying. Your body will react on the stress. Your blood pressure will go up a little bit. Your heart frequency will go up. For patients, it can affect their sleep, and for staff, their concentration and also communication, which can lead to delays in things that are supposed to be done or understood. So raising stress levels, it's something that we don't want to do, and we need to work with it a little bit more than only refer to the regulation. And why that is, I will show you a little bit further on when you look at some measurements. So when we work with hospitals, we need to understand that one solution does not fit all. We have very different rooms in the hospital. A big entrance like this has activities and people in it that demands a special thought of what we want to achieve with the acoustics, compared to a single or shared bedroom for the patients, where you can also be in a much more vulnerable state. In the hospital, we will also meet other rooms, such as laboratories, that has other kind of demands when it comes to hygiene and also, again, communication. But we will also face restaurants and offices, single office, shared office, and educational premises. So again, we need to consider the activities and the people who's going to be in the room when we're planning for good sound and environments. Special care should be taken to making children feel safe and secure. And this is a very nice example, I think, from a hospital in Gothenburg. These are examination rooms at an ER emergency for children. So the children who comes in here are hurt and sad and upset, and their family probably are too. And here they took on a concept to create a theme in each room. So we see now the tiger room and the giraffe room. And they made the design in the room to fit the tiger story and the giraffe story, so that you can distract the child a little bit and have something else to look at and point at. And if you look at the ceiling here, it's actually with a print. It looks like the savannah, I think. So we have very good acoustics in this quite small room, which means that we also can add some ambient sound. So we added a little bit of a jungle sound and a little tiger growling, etc., and to make the whole scene complete. And the staff reports back that this has been really, really beneficial for the children, both during the examination and the treatment, but also when they're looking back into what happened when they were in the hospital. So win-win for everyone here. Because sometimes we feel that, oh, it's a small room, acoustics is not a problem here, and the patient will be in the room for a very short period of time. And I think that it's the other way around. We should really care for the little ones when they're in this situation. I would also like to show you another example of a patient category that sometimes can be a little bit overseen, and that is when we're working with mental health. We know that sound environments have a huge emotional response, and we want to create healing environments for these patients as well, and make them feel that they are in a safe, secure area where everything is not only white and furniture to the floor, etc., but depending on the level, of course, of security, the balance between comfort and safety, we need to understand that all the design ideas affects these patients as well. And we have some beautiful examples of great acoustics and sound in various levels of mental health. And I know that sometimes, you know, when it's really tough conditions, that we can't really make the conditions perfect, but we can make them very good for very many of these treatment places. And now I would like to step into the toughest area of the hospital when it comes to hygiene and technical features for our products. And this is an example of an orthopedic operating room in the south of Sweden. And this is with a modular construction. similar to the one that Jörgen was presenting before. So hello, Jörgen. This is another spire, but I have some of the same thoughts with it. This is, as you can see, an orthopedic OR, and this is the most infection-sensitive ORs that we can conduct. So all of the demands hygienically will be very, very high. And I don't know now your level of expertise in this very specialized area. This is an ISO 3 room, which means that the air particles in the rooms will be very, very few and very controlled. And the CFU limit, the result of how many microbes that will actually grow in different spots in the room, is set to be less than 10 at any given spot in the room with 12 people in the room. So these are very high demands. And we worked with this in this project, and we used our top-notch product for this, advanced, that can withstand more or less anything that we throw at it. And we were quite interested to see what is the acoustics in a room like this. It's bare, it's metal, it's hard surface. And I will try to explain a little bit about the acoustic measurements. Normally in building regulations, we look at something called reverberation time. And that is a measurement of how quickly the sound energy will go down in a room. And we measure that in seconds. And in this room, we had a of 0.52 seconds of these octave bands. And that is a very, very good result. I have been in many operating rooms where we can have a reverberation time of 1.5 or 2 seconds. And that is like standing in a, in the elevator shaft and it's just echoing the whole time. 0.52 is a very good number, and you can also see that it's very even over all of the octave bands, which is also a good sign. It's always a bit complicated with the low frequency sounds. So if you look at the table there on the bottom line, it says 63 and 125, and there are some extra space given to the 125. We're allowed to have that a little bit higher because it's so difficult to catch the low frequency sound. But in this solution now, we got a really great reading, 0.6 with this. So if we only look at the reverb time, which is something that is demanded in Sweden, where this was built, we passed the regulations, and this is really good. But we also need to look at more parameters to make sure that we can actually hear what is said in the room and that the sound level isn't too loud. Because this will only show you how quickly the sound will disappear. So if it's 100 dB in the room, yeah, it's good with a short reverb, but it would be better maybe if it was a 70 dB in the room. That doesn't say anything about the loudness in the room, and it doesn't say anything about how well can you hear what I'm saying. And to be able to see or measure before how well you can hear what I'm saying, you need to look at other parameters, and they are normally not in the regulations. And there I really want to stress out that we need to take a be the bigger person here and not only let this land with the acousticians who will look at the regulation and make sure that the reverb is met, and that is it. That is what they were, paid to do. We need to look at the C50, for example. The C50 is one way to look at how well can you hear what I'm saying in the room. And in the specific room, we got a reading of 6.2 dB, which is a good reading. When you're in a classroom, you want to be between 6 and 10 dB for the students to hear the teacher. So this is a good reading. However, we have no regulations to say what limits we should be within. And I think, especially in the operating room, hearing what someone else is saying is quite crucial, even maybe a bit more crucial than student-teacher, because in here, you don't have the possibility to move around in the room. We have our different sterile zones, and you cannot step into a higher zone. You have to stay in your own zone, so to speak. And the people in there have their mouth covered, which makes it difficult breastfeeding and their speech will be a bit muffled. And many have also the ear covered, which make it more difficult for you to kind of hear who's talking, where the sound is coming from. So these parameters, I think, are very, very important for us, all of us who work with sound environments in hospitals, to really stress out that we need to broaden what we're looking for when we're designing the workplaces like this. And I'd like then actually to show that there is a range of products that will meet more or less any demand that you can have. Because I also think that, yeah, if this is a hygiene area, you can't have a sound absorber, it's porous and there's particles and there's this and that. And you have to remember that we have made these products to fit all of these demands and needs. So we have thought about the things with particles and air permeability and pressure difference and rubbability and how they can withstand cleaning and disinfection. And I would say that in more or less any case, we can solve the problem in the room and create a really great sound environment. These products also are being used in clean room industries that are usually cleaner than the operating. So with that, I would like to thank you very much, and I'm so sorry for all of these problems with my sound. And I hope I caught up a bit of time. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Maria. Actually, I thought about when you were talking now that maybe it's a great receipt of the successfulness of your sound absorbing panels, that they absorbed all the sound from your microphone. So perhaps that could be something. But thank you very much, Maria. I think the quote that you said, one solution does not fit all, and the tailoring of solutions based on the context, it's very key here. So thank you for sharing that. And of course, we will be uploading the recording of this webinar as well on NCSH's YouTube channel in the near future. So for those of you who would like to look through the presentations again, it will be possible to do so. And we will also share the contact details of the speakers after the webinar. So if you didn't hear everything that Maria had to share, you can get in contact with her directly. I'm sure that she would be happy to speak to you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, that's a wrap up, I think, for this great webinar. And as I mentioned before, we hope that the discussions will be ongoing also after the webinar with the speakers and among the participants as well. And I would like to say a special thank you to our guests from Ukraine, and we look forward to the collaboration there moving forward as well. And yeah, go check out the World's Greenest Hospital at worldsgreenesthospital.org. And see you in October for our conference, of course, here in Malmö. Thank you so much for listening.